Class 3 Frequency Modulation. I already told amplitude modulation and its waveforms how to generate it in my previous class. Now I am explain frequency modulation. Frequency modulation is nothing but it is a one type of a modulation technique where the frequency of the carrier signal or wave is changed or varied in accordance with the instantaneous amplitude of the modulating signal. In frequency modulation, it is also simply referred to the FM. Next, coming to the FM waveforms. Figure shows the frequency modulation waveforms. In frequency modulation, the frequency of the carrier signal is varied, whereas the amplitude of the carrier signal is remains a constant. In the first figure shows the frequency modulation. It is a message signal. It contains the information only. The second signal, it is a message signal. It contains no information. This is a third signal. This signal is a resultant frequency signal. It is a resultant frequency modulated signal. The third signal shows the frequency of the both positive and negative half cycles of the carrier wave is a varied or changed with the instantaneous amplitude of the message signal or modulating signal. Here in case of message signal, it contains the high pulse. In accordance with the carrier wave, he can observe that the modulated signal, the wave is changed. As we know that the amplitude modulation was the first modulation technique. It is developed to transmit a voice signal by using the radio waves. Frequency modulation was developed after amplitude modulation. The main advantages of frequency modulation over the amplitude modulation is that it is a more resistant to the noise than amplitude modulation. Simply, it is a less noise compared to amplitude modulation. As we know that the message signal contains the information only. Already tell that this point. However, we cannot transmit a message signal to very large distance. Note here, because it has a low signal strength. Hence, we use the high signal strength. The carrier wave is a transmit information over a very large distance. In frequency modulation technique, it is a widely used from the FM broadcasting and also used from the radar communication and telemetry. Next, coming to the modulation index of frequency modulation. Frequency modulation index is defined as the ratio of the maximum frequency deviation of the carrier signal to the frequency of the message signal. Simply, I can write this M suffix I. It is denoted to the modulation index of FM. Where delta F is equals to here maximum frequency deviation of the carrier signal and FM is the frequency of the message signal. Next, coming to the FM deviation ratio. FM deviation ratio is denoted by the capital D is equals to maximum carrier frequency deviation by maximum message signal frequency. This is the deviation ratio of a frequency modulation. The best advantages of frequency modulation is S by N ratio is a less. It has a less noise compared to amplitude modulation. Here S by N ratio is nothing but a signal to noise ratio is a less. The disadvantages of FM is it requires a wider bandwidth than amplitude modulation. This all about the frequency modulation technique.